Hello everyone, welcome to the Tech and Auto Show. I'm your host Manav Sinha and it is so good to see all of you lovely people once again. And if you're a regular watcher of our show, you might be noticing something different right now. Well, we're back to bringing you the production quality that you all love and know us for because, well, we're back to earth while maintaining social distancing and keeping as safe as we can be. However, having said that, there is a small conversation that we need to have before we kick off the show, which is that the coronavirus lockdown is relaxing across the country, and I know we all want to step out because we've been maintaining social distancing and staying at home all this while. Having said that, the coronavirus lockdown hasn't gone anywhere, so we have to continue to be safe, so maintain social distancing and only step out for essential services. Now, with that out of the way, let's kickstart the show by showing you a glimpse of what you can expect over the course of the next half an hour. This week, we will be reviewing the OnePlus 8. Also, we will be talking about how to keep your phone safe in times of COVID-19 and also listing down the top scooters and motorcycles in 1 lakh rupees. So there you have it, all of that will be coming your way, but we're going to start off with the OnePlus 8. Now, there are very few phones in the world that make the kind of noise that they make when they're launching, like the ones that are made by OnePlus. The latest phones include the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro. And the OnePlus 8 Pro has been stealing all the limelight all this while because, well, that's the most advanced phone that they make. However, its younger sibling, the OnePlus 8, might be the value for money offering that we all know OnePlus for. But is that the case? Well, Kunal is finding that out.
OnePlus has been one of the most successful Android smartphone makers, and in the past few years it has also been one of the most preferred ones. Now, this year the company launched 2 new phones just like last year, the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro. Now, while the Pro is the more flagship phone, the 8 now remains the more flagship killer handset from the company. Now I'm going to check out the phone and tell you if this is worth the money. Now, compared to the OnePlus 7T from last year, the OnePlus 8 is very similar. It still comes with a similar triple camera setup. It's more of a flat display, although there is a slight, edged kind of a display. It's slightly curved on the edges, but it primarily feels very flat. It's also really light. I think OnePlus has done a very good job of, maintaining the weight on the handset. Also, there is no notch this time. There is a punch hole camera, a decision taken by OnePlus, which is, I think it's okay. I mean, it's not of an ISO for me. This is very similar to what you get on the OnePlus Pro as well. The camera is sitting on the left corner on the top. I think the pop-up camera made more sense, that it added a bit of more security, plus it made for a seamless display. But I think it's fine. I mean, it's not much of a big deal for me. The display itself is really, really good. What OnePlus has done is it has maintained the 90 Hz refresh rate and has now introduced a 1080p display, while the Pro has a QHD. This will still remain a 1080p display. This also helps in the battery life. Of course, it's very, very smooth. Brightness is actually really good and I have no issues using it in direct sunlight. It's also really sharp, and since it's an AMOLED panel, it comes with a lot of good contrast and good blacks. Now, as for the design, it's fairly very slim. Again, there is no headphone jack, which OnePlus has committed to. There's a USB-C port at the bottom. There's one of the speakers over here, the SIM card tray, and the second speaker sits right here over where the earpiece should be. At the back is the triple camera setup. There's the LED flash. The cameras do, pop out a bit. It's not very, distracting. It's not a huge deal. It looks pretty much fine. What I didn't like is the new OnePlus font. It's all capitals, and it just doesn't feel as good as it used to, in the past. The quick switch for the silent and vibrate modes is still there, which is probably one of the best features that OnePlus puts on its smartphones. You still get a optical fingerprint scanner on the display. It's fast. It's very it's very accurate. It is really good for your security if you want. There's also a face recognition. Apart from that, I think OnePlus has done a very good job here. You still get premium specs out of the box. There's a Snapdragon 865, up to 12 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage, which is the model I am using right now. And Combine that with Android 10 and Oxygen OS, you have a very seamless experience. Probably one of the best Android phones that I've used so far. It is completely flawless. I have seen no issues, no stutters, nothing at all. It's one of the smoothest phones that you will find in the markets right now. Now coming to the cameras, it is primarily a 48 megapixel sensor paired to a 16 megapixel ultra wide, and this time the company has removed the telephoto lens and you get a 2 megapixel macro lens on it, which is okay, and I mean it's not a big of an issue, but it's not the best camera if you're looking for, you know, something which a premium smartphone camera can, you know, offer. It's a decent camera, you know, in wide, you know, in bright sunlight it is not bad. The photos come out sharp, the colors are pretty accurate, but as you move towards low light and you know, darker, you know, environments, the performance is not very good. As you can see, noise creeping in and the shadows and the brightness is going completely down the drain. So the camera performance, to be very honest, is just about okay. It's not comparable to the likes of the recently reviewed Mi 10 that Xiaomi has launched, or the OnePlus 8 Pro. We still need to test it, but the performance of the camera is slightly better than the 17, not as great, but should work for something which is you know, something priced under 50,000 rupees. Now, as for the battery life, it is a huge improvement. It is a 4300 mAh battery, a big improvement from the 70. You can go without having to charge the phone. You still get 30 watt warp charge 30T on this, which charges your phone from 0 to 50 in about 22 minutes, which is excellent. So overall, I think the OnePlus 8 is a, you know, no frills smartphone. I didn't find a particular issue on it. Of course, you don't get wireless charging. Also, there is no IP68 rating, which the OnePlus 8 Pro has received. You still get, you know, standard resistance to dust and water, which is fairly okay. You can put it under small splashes of water. It should be fine. So in the end, I think the OnePlus 8 is an excellent phone for something which is priced under 50,000 rupees. If you're out in the market and want a premium experience with no frills and a stock Android experience, this is the smartphone to go for.
So in the times of COVID-19, we're trying to be as safe as we can be, and one of the things that we are doing is sanitizing our contact points that we come across in our daily lives. However, one of the things that we use a lot and don't sanitize all that much is our smartphones. So if you want to sanitize your smartphones, what can you do? So Vishal might be having just the right kind of gadget for you, so take a look.
Did you ever really realize how unsafe and unclean your smartphone usage scenario is? Now visualize this. What you do on a daily basis with your phone. You pick it up, you use it for a while, you keep it on any surface such as a table or a chair or a mattress or something. You go around touching other things which may or may not be clean. You come back, you pick up your phone, you probably hold it against your ear if you're speaking with somebody. And basically this just continues day after day. A study by the University of Arizona rightly suggests that our phones are 9 times dirtier than a toilet seat. Visualize that for a second and now you are going to be scared. What this means is every time you pick up your phone, be it while eating or be it before hitting the bed for a good night's sleep, you're bringing germs closer to yourself. And if you're picking up the phone to speak on it, well, you're bringing the phone close to your ear, your eyes, your nose and your mouth. All great passageways for a virus to enter your body. What do you do then? This is the answer. This is a UV sterilization box which is being sold in India by the good folks over at Daily Objects, a very popular website for tech accessories, phone accessories, smartwatch accessories and more. What this basically does is it uses the UVC standard to sterilize your phone and perhaps even other accessories. On the underside of the lid of this box is a UVC array which when switched on sterilizes anything that is kept inside the box. The walls are quite thick, so the radiation and the sterilization of the UVC is not going to escape. This also doesn't work if you remove the lid while the operation is on. It immediately switches it off because UVC should not really come in contact with the human skin. You can keep a smartphone in this. We tried the biggest phone that we could lay our hands on, which is the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, and that fit in effortlessly. There was still some space left. UVC sterilization is extremely potent. In fact, it's so potent that the atmosphere has to filter out the natural UVC which is heading towards us. The human and the man-made elements of UVC and those implementations are very, very potent when it comes to eliminating viruses, bacteria, and other such organisms. In fact, they break down the DNA of these organisms to prevent them from reproducing, which essentially means they are dead. What you need to do right now in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic and this new sense of cleanliness that we've imbibed is start doing this with your gadgets as well. Every time you pick up your phone, you're probably touching it with dirty hands, which means the viruses again come closer to your body. Sterilize your phone. And this is perhaps a very, very convenient device to have. What it also does is the lid has a wireless charger. You can simply put your phone on this after you've sterilized it, and it's also going to charge it for you. That's like killing two birds with one stone. It doesn't really cost much, and it perhaps is more about a habit that you will have to imbibe into your daily routine. But this box just makes everything cleaner, simpler, and well, healthier.
Now, getting around to do your things in the time of COVID-19 can be a tedious task, and realizing that since you're working from home, you don't need to travel all that much and short distances is what you will be doing in the coming future, you might be thinking of getting your hands on a two-wheeler. So, what are your best options under 1 lakh rupees? Well, here's my report. Now, in a massive survey done by Network 18 in 13 languages across India on all our digital platforms, well, 70% of our respondents said that in the coming future, they would prefer to travel by their own personal vehicle. And when it comes to personal vehicles, getting your hands on a new two-wheeler is a lot easier than getting your hands on a new four-wheeler. So if you've been thinking about getting one, we decided to help you out by putting together a list of the top 5 two-wheelers, including both scooters and motorcycles, in less than 1 lakh rupees that give you the best value for money. So here are our recommendations.
Honda Activa 6G. If practicality and affordability is on the top of your list of priorities, then you would be wanting to get your hands on a scooter. And when it comes to scooters, there's nothing quite like the Honda Activa. Currently in its 6th generation, the Honda Activa 6G is not only India's best-selling scooter, but has kept that position for itself for years now. And when you look closer, it begins to make sense why. The Activa 6G has a no-nonsense design that ages well, which means the scooter will look good even after years of ownership. And being a Honda, you know that reliability won't be a problem. The Honda Activa 6G is the most affordable option in our list, and it is powered by a 109.5cc engine that makes about 7.6 horsepower, gets a 12-inch wheel at the front, tubeless tires, LED headlamps, external fuel cap, remote opening of seat, and so much more. You get the idea. The Activa is a feature-rich scooter and is well suited for a wide variety of scenarios. Yamaha Fz. Coming to motorcycles, street naked style bikes are the ones that perhaps look the best in this budget. These offer a premium feel and have a design that makes them stand out of the crowd. And on that front, the OG street naked motorcycle, the Yamaha Fz, is what we would recommend. This not only started the street naked segment in India, but has been the benchmark to beat for years now. The current generation model of the Fz is the most muscular one yet, and comes loaded with features like a negative LCD instrument cluster that shows everything that you would want to know, bold LED headlamps, and of course a wide 140mm rear tire, which is the signature look of an Fz. It is powered by a 149cc engine with fuel injection that makes 12.4 PS of power with a 5-speed transmission, has a 13-litre fuel tank, and has a 282mm front disc brake. So, if you can't compromise on style and want something that stands out, then the Yamaha Fz is what you should be looking at. Hero X-Pulse 200. Here's the thing, if you are looking at options in about 1 lakh rupees, you will be seeing a lot of road-based offerings. However, if you're someone who wants to take the road less travel and perhaps want to work on your off-roading skills and want a motorcycle that lets you develop a weekend hobby, then there's nothing quite like the Hero X-Pulse 200. This might be the most affordable motorcycle in India that does not shy away from an adventure. But don't let that fool you into thinking that this is not a capable machine, as the X-Pulse makes for a perfect beginner motorcycle for those wanting to get into off-roading and trail riding. Its size and dimensions make it perfect for everyday riding scenarios, be it in the city or the highway, and if you feel like it, you can do proper trail hunting as well. The X-Pulse has a 220mm ground clearance, a 200cc engine that makes 17.8 bhp of power, gets a 276mm disc brake at the front with a single channel ABS, 21-inch front wheel and 190mm of front suspension travel. This one can do it all. Bajaj Pulsar 125. But what if all this does not pique your interest and you simply want an affordable and practical motorcycle that does the job of commuting every day while still sparing you some change in a budget of 1 lakh rupees? Well, then the answer would be in the Bajaj Pulsar 125. Yes, we know that the Pulsar 150 is also there and fits within the budget, but like we said, if commuting every day is all that you want, then the performance gain with the 150 is minimal. What you get as a trade-off is higher fuel efficiency with the Pulsar 125, while it is as capable of doing city speeds as the 150 would be. What's more, the 125 is identical to the 150 in every single way. And I mean it literally, because everything that you see on this motorcycle has been taken from the 150. That includes all the body panels, the tires, the disc brake, the chassis, the suspension, everything. Even the engine that it has is from the 150, which has been tuned differently, of course. The only difference is that the fuel tank is a bit smaller, and as a result, the 125 is 4 kilos lighter. So basically, it is the 150 in a budget which is going to be equally fast in the city, will save you some money too, and gives you the styling and design of a 150cc motorcycle. And in our books, that's a win-win. TVS NTORQ 125. Now coming back to scooters and the final recommendation in our list, we come to the TVS NTORQ. The reason this makes it to our list is, well, because the NTORQ is pretty much the opposite of what the Activa offers and makes for a good alternative because of that. This makes perfect sense if what you want is a scooter specifically, but are not all that keen into the commuter-based scooters, which is pretty much all of the scooters available in India. The NTORQ takes a sporty approach to everything, be it the sharp styling or the fact that this is the fastest scooter that you can have within the budget. Peppy performance, good cornering capabilities and a different design language makes the NTORQ special. On top of that, you get a 124.8cc engine that makes 9.1 bhp of power, does 0 to 60 km an hour in 9 seconds. It has things like a top speed recorder, a lap timer, and another highlight is the all-digital instrument cluster which supports Bluetooth connectivity, which takes the value for money to a whole new level. So if you want a preppy ride experience in the form of the scooter, then go for the TVS NTORQ.
So there you have it, that's our pick of the top 5 two-wheelers under 1 lakh rupees. And with that, it is time for a small break on the Tech and Auto Show, but don't go anywhere. So on the other side, we will be talking about one of the motorcycles that we just listed. Stay tuned. Welcome back, you're watching the Tech and Auto Show and I'm your host Manas Sinha. Now in the first half of the show, we brought you a list of the top 5 two-wheelers that you can buy in less than 1 lakh rupees. And one of the motorcycles that we listed was the Yamaha Fz. So how is that motorcycle to own and ride every day? Well, Anirudh is sharing his review of that motorcycle up next.
Back in 2008, when Yamaha introduced the FZ16, it essentially opened the doorway to the entry-level street fighter segment in India. 11 years later, the bike has now entered its 3rd generation and has arrived in a brand new avatar. However, as against the outgoing one, the new version comes at a premium of Rs 12,000. And we are here to find out if all the changes are really worth the price.
So let's begin by talking about the changes. On the outside, the front fascia gets a new look with split LED headlamps that are similar to the one seen on its elder sibling, the FZ25. Like its predecessors, the broad shoulder lines and the chunky tank takes the center stage in the new version too. In addition to this, the tank now also gets a pair of tank shrouds that seem like vents but are just present for design purposes. The chrome bezel on the same and the belly pan is essentially the only difference between the FZ and the FZS. While we did expect a power bump in the engine, Yamaha decided to steer clear of it, which means that powering the bike is the same 149cc engine that outputs 13 bhp and 12.8 Nm of torque. While this might be the lowest in its segment, the bike doesn't really go for the sporty street fighter purpose this time by trying to be a bit more commute friendly. And we measured the same by subjecting it to the daily urban grind in the traffic. Compared to the 2.0, the FZ gets slightly raised handlebars that makes maneuvering in traffic all the more easy. And those pothole-ridden roads will be less of a problem this time as the ground clearance is also up by 5 mm. Unlike the older version, which did compromise on pillion comfort with its split seat setup, the new FZ features single seat with 16% more surface area, and this welcomes comfort. For a guy who measures about 5'6" like me, all things were easily accessible with the perfect seat height. In terms of materials used, we thought that the quality and finish could have been a bit better. If you thought the switchgear looked familiar, it's because it has been directly taken from the FZ25. The bike also gets a new instrument cluster that comes with negative display, helping in better visibility. It shows plenty of information. However, we could have lived with a gear position and a side stand indicator. So what's it like on the roads? Well, not bad at all. You see, as mentioned earlier, the bike has been given a do-over with being commute friendly as a key aspect, which explains why Yamaha decided to retain the same engine. Speaking of which, as compared to the older version, the new FZ comes with plenty of grunt in its engine note. However, a bit north of 5000 RPM, vibrations could have been felt on the handlebars. As much as it turns heads, we will say that the performance will float your boat. The engine offers a pleasant ride without letting you forget that this is very much an FZ underneath. This means it has plenty of mid-range torque that will put a grin on your face for all those quick overtakes. The braking duties on the bike are handled by a 282 mm disc at the front, and unlike the older generation which shipped with drum brakes, the new one gets disc brake at the rear as standard. In a nutshell, while the numbers on paper might not be as impressive as its rivals, once you swing a leg on the bike, it doesn't feel like it. Yes, we do agree that the price has been significantly hiked as against the outgoing version, but the bike still falls in the same price range as its rivals. Additionally, the plush ride and the comfortable ergonomics will not take long to grow on you, which is something that Yamaha has kept going with the new generation. To sum it up, despite the changes being just cosmetic, it is still worth the money simply because of the way it rides.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of the Tech and Auto Show. How did you find the show? Is there anything you have to say, anything you want us to cover, or simply want to have a conversation? Then reach out to us on Twitter. We are more than happy to talk. If it's about technology, you can reach out to us at News18 Tech. If it's about automobiles, reach out to us at News18 Auto. And remember, by logging on to news18.com, you can read up more on both these industries. Well, that's about all for today. I'll catch you same time next week, only on CNN News 18.